All right, there we go, everybody. Perfect. Glad to be in front of you today. Looks like we are ready to rock and roll. Everything looks to be set up and working properly. So I'm excited to be bringing you this information today because what we're going to be talking about is some stuff that you need to keep your eyes out for. We got to keep our head on a swivel when we're looking to build our business. And the reason why is because of all of the things that are going to be, number one, distracting to us, but more importantly, the things that are just going to hurt our progress in delivering the results that we need, right? We need to be able to bring in new blood into our business to recreate and innovate new ideas and ways for current customers and clients to continue buying from us. And we need to do this on a consistent basis, right? And when we do, there's certain things, when we start to do that, there's certain red flags. There's mistakes that we make along the way. And these are all mistakes that we've made inside of our business and our company. And today, you're going to be able to walk away with the 11 most deadly mistakes that are going to keep you from ruining your marketing career. Okay, so we're going to get into that in just a second. I want to let a couple more people show up, and then we'll get and jump right into it. So over the last couple of weeks, man, things have been incredible for what we've been using with the VPC method, the results for our clients, what we've been hearing from Academy members. So I'm super happy for all you guys that are sharing that information with us, for just sharing it, right? And so I encourage you to keep doing that and keep just putting in the work because it's not easy. I mean, I think it was Tony Robbins who did a big research survey who did, I think it was a couple 100,000 or maybe even a million or so, but it was a lot of small businesses that he put into the survey, and then he tracked them over a period of time, and it was a minimum of, I think, 10 years, and he found that over 80% of them, it was like right around 82% or something, actually fell out and failed and did not make it out of the first 5 years. 80%. So you only have really a 1 in 4 shot, according to those statistics, or 1 in 5 shot, and according to those statistics, to actually make it out as a successful business owner. And so what we want to do is make sure that you are avoiding these pitfalls. We do not want you to fall into these traps, because if you can avoid them, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. And sometimes that money that you're saving, right, can actually help you from closing your doors. Sometimes small businesses, one big event, one catastrophic event, and it's over with, right? You have to close your doors. You don't have enough capital to keep it running. So you have to close your doors. Now, that is not something it's nothing that you want to experience. So how do we avoid that? We're going to show you today. So let's get right to it right now. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we are going to make this happen today. So I want you to pull out your notes too, because this is going to be something that you want to take part in. Okay, if you have any questions about what I'm going to be sharing, then let's make sure that we go into it today. So the first thing we want to talk about, of course, are the 11 deadly mistakes that will end your marketing career. Okay, maybe not completely end it, but still some very scary stuff to look out for, okay? And I'm not using this as some type of fear mongering tactic or something. These are just mistakes. Business owners, what we're doing right now inside of our company, these are things that we have to look out for, okay? And these are things that after working with over 55 companies, spanning over 16 different industries, I mean, you start to see these same mistakes being made. And we've had some clients actually shut their doors because they just couldn't, it just wouldn't fit into their routine, or they couldn't wrap their head around the principle that I'm going to share with you today. So we want to make sure that you don't fall into that. So the first thing that we want to do, let me go ahead and, I guess it doesn't matter if I play it like this or like this. Let me play it like this. I wonder if this works. That still works. Good. So if we look at this, the number one mistake is going to be no content consistency. Okay. So this no content consistency is going to be, let me see if I can, there we go. What we're talking about here is going to be a time of the day. You got to stay disciplined with this. Okay. There's no joke about this. This is something that usually you're going to hire out for. What we see is that the amount of time it takes to provide content to your market, it takes a relentless man or woman to be able to put yourself in this position every single day to go out there and create the blog content, create the video content, create everything that you need to be able to make sure your voice is being heard inside the marketplace, right? You're educating them and you're demonstrating to them and all that good stuff. The way that we do it, if you guys want to know, I mean, to be honest, what we do is we set up a day and a time and we just stay disciplined. Okay. The days and the weeks that we don't stay disciplined, we see a dip in our engagement. We see a dip in our reach, right? We do see an actual backlash. Another way that we do it is through a content calendar. So there's no reason why you can't be prepared a month in advance. You don't really want to go out more than a month in advance a lot of the time because content changes, strategies change, and techniques and tactics change, and they get updated and some don't work anymore. So when you do this, you don't really want to go out more than 30 days in advance, but you can gather enough content and you could use the program called Later, Later.com. And what that'll do is that'll give you a setup for all of your social media channels for you to prepare content in advance. And it is the only, from what I understand, one of the only two actual third-party applications that are partnered or verified partners with Instagram and Facebook, or maybe Instagram and Facebook. And it lets you post to, all the actual major players on social media, saves a bunch of time, and allows you to look in advance of formatting it the right way, allows you to get the captions right, the hashtags in advance. And if you have a team of people, you can outsource that a little bit. But if you don't, then it's something that you've got to stay committed to, right? It's got to be something where you're putting in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes at the very beginning of you getting used to this routine. It might be up to 2 hours a day that you're putting into creating the content. This doesn't even mean distributing it yet, right? We haven't even gotten to the distribution part of this yet, which is going to be another layer in where we're going over the next 10 steps. So when you think about, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? That's the number one thing people think about. How the hell am I going to make all this content? It can be simple. And I'm going to share that with you when we get a little bit later. But the very next actual slide is going to break the mold for you, because we don't want to make it overwhelming. We want to make it so simple for you to be able to come up with ideas, to create content, and where to put that content, how to distribute that content, so that you just get so motivated to build it that it just comes effortless to you to go ahead and distribute it, right? Because that's where the money's at. The money's not in the creating, the money's in the distribution. We have to think about that. The money's not in the, a lot of people say, well, I create a lot of content. Well, where did you distribute it at? If you're only putting it on one channel, that one channel is not being monetized. Let's say that you're only putting it on Facebook and you're not generating any money from Facebook because of those posts, then those posts are basically worthless, right? I mean, they might be building up some type of brand awareness down the road. So I don't want to say completely worthless, but for the most part, they're not generating any trackable income. There's nothing there that's going to pull people in. So since that's not happening, we have to switch up the type of content and where it's going to be at. That's going to help with you putting more of a consistent level, because once you see results, you get excited. Let's get real, right? Once we start seeing results, we get excited as all get up. So we got to make sure that we don't fall into mistake number one, and that we can maintain our consistency. And that's going to be done through staying disciplined through a daily timer, creating a content calendar, and creating a content map. Okay, so now let's get to, there we go. Mistake number two, not having videos or are afraid to make videos. I would not be lying if I said that I was, I'd be lying if I said I was always comfortable in front of the camera. It was not the case. I look just like the gentleman here on the slide, right? Where I had my head in the sand. I was hiding because, you know what? It was embarrassing. You hear yourself getting played back over a video and you just look at yourself like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm putting this out there for the world to see. I'm going to get so much negative feedback. You start getting inside your own head. So all of these emotions are definitely normal, but they're not credible. They're not justified. They're not real, right? We have to understand that as entrepreneurs, we got to put ourselves out there. And a lot of the time, if we don't read well, if we don't have a good memory to memorize bullet points or a script, there's always ways as entrepreneurs that we can get through a situation without having to give up, right? That's just our game plan, is how do we actually make it through this? And I can guarantee you those companies that have videos versus companies that don't have videos, those ones that do are always making more money. And the reason why is because the relatability and the ease of consumption. Let's say that together, right? Ease of consumption. We've got to make sure that it's easily consumed from these people's standpoint and their point of view. So we want to make sure that they have it, let's say a way for them to read it. But we know that videos right now are the number one go-to for people when they want to learn something, when they want to be entertained, when they're up to sharing something. So they have we have the opportunity now to get in front of so many millions of people each and every month, or each and every, let's say year, if depending on your budget. And what happens now is you have the opportunity to really impact more lives at such a low cost. When you follow the VPC method, it's going to be huge for you. So the first thing that we want to do when you're talking about implementing these videos is you want to be able to use this as your daily content. That's the number one tip here, right? This ties into the mistake number one of feeling overwhelmed about your content consistency. If you have one video made every single day and that one video is turned, right? This is the magical part. We've talked about this, I think, before, if you've been on previous calls, where you hand it over to a company that I love to do business with. It's called rev.com, REV right? rev.com. And they do 99.99% correct transcriptions, and they have it to you in less than 12 hours. So you can have that as a blog post. You can have it as a social media post. You can have it as an email. You can have it as however it is that we got to repurpose this content. But now you have that one video that we have on all the social media channels that looks native to that channel. And it's very easy now for you to think about one piece of content every day, and then boom, we don't got to worry about anything else. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit easier, right? Can we all take a breath real quick and just sit back and think about how simple this can really be of creating that one piece of content every day and putting it out to the people that actually want it. Okay, and we're going to go through those channels in other training videos and inside the academy. But if you have any questions about what we do, go ahead and share them right now. Like, what do we do with these videos? How do we make them work and things like that? We just want to make sure that you guys are very clear on what to do with them, because creating them, like I said, is not the money-making part. The money-making part is the distribution part. And if we can distribute them to the right people at the right time, we're going to make money, right? So we got to make sure that first step is making the video. The distribution is going to come on an automated fashion. I'm going to teach you how to do that in either other trainings, or it's also inside the academy. So this is pretty cool here. Make the videos. Don't be afraid. Now we got this right here, which is a big mistake. Big mistake here is becoming emotionally attached to your offers. We've seen this happen so many times, and it's been I'd say a problem of mine until I invested one campaign. I think I invested, it was close to like $6,000 into the campaign. And I was so tied to this campaign. I don't even think I got one client out of it. I mean, it was a negative, complete shot, and nothing ever converted. Not even on the back end. Like, it was abysmal. And I kept trying to force it, right? It was like a 1 month, 6 week process, 6 week test. And over that 6 weeks, I saw the numbers that looked good on the front end, but the back end just wasn't making any sense. And I was like, oh, well, it'll happen. Oh, it'll happen. Oh, it'll happen. Oh, it'll happen. And the next thing you know, nothing happened, and I'm out a lot of money. And that is never a good feeling for anybody. Now, luckily, that was my own campaign and not a client's, right? And that was one of my biggest learning experiences, was when I went through that and said, okay, never again will I ever become emotionally attached to anything again. That thing just cost me a nice pretty penny, and I don't want to ever experience that again. So from now on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually prepare myself in advance, and I'm going to stop serving Brussels sprouts to my market, even if it is wrapped in bacon, right? That's what these are. If you look on the screen, these are literally Brussels sprouts wrapped in bacon. And what we do as entrepreneurs is we typically give our market, a lot of the time, the first time out the gate, when we don't do any testing, when we think we're going to knock it out the park on the first time at bat, we give our market these Brussels sprouts. We salt and pepper them up. We put some nice sauce with it, wrap it in bacon, and we're like, here you go. And they get past the bacon, and they're like, this shit is still Brussels sprouts though, dude. Like, I don't want any Brussels sprouts. And we're like, well, that's all I got, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. If the market says, I love bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts, then let's continue to give it to them. But if they don't, and the cost is not as good as we want it to be, you can always make it better by creating different offers. I mean, imagine if you were to push the same. I always love math, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm a math guy, right? So when I push numbers through the front end, I'm like, okay, well, hell, if I could get the same amount of people to see this offer for the same cost, but I can get twice as many to convert, damn, I just cut my cost per acquisition in half. I just doubled my buyers without increasing my ad budget, without doing anything else, right? So this is why having these different offers are huge, because not everybody wants our damn Brussels sprouts. We've got to be able to get rid of them sometimes, right? It doesn't matter if we wrap them in bacon or sugarcoat them. Sometimes they just don't want them, so we got to give them something else, okay? And that's where we want to think about when we create these offers. We want to have at least 4 offers that we're testing, 4 different offers that we're testing at once. We want to have the different levels of your market that are going to see all 4 of these offers, okay? And what I mean by that is, let's say that you are selling fitness, nutritional supplements, right? That nutritional supplement, let's say that you have one offer, which is buy at this price. And when you do, you're going to get this free. And then another one might be buy this one thing, this first item at 50% off. Another one might be buy 3 and get 2 free. Another one might be, get this one at 50% off and get an additional item at an additional discount. So we have a different way that we can now promote these offers. There's 4, 5, 6, do as many as we need. We need a lot of offers, but the minimum is going to be 4. And when we have these 4 offers now, that's going to be testing against your different levels of your market. So we want to see which piece of your market is going to like which offer. So we're looking at your warm market. So people who have engaged with you and people who have, done business with you, maybe a little bit in another way, people who have watched your videos, those kinds of folks that are warmed up to you are going to see all 4 offers, just like the cold traffic is going to see all 4 offers. It's just that they're going to be introduced in different ways. We have retargeting campaigns for your warm market, and we have cold lead gen campaigns or lead gen campaigns for your cold market. This way, everyone's going to be introduced to multiple offers throughout the different segments of your market. And that now is going to give you every opportunity to measure what the hell do they want. If they want the Brussels sprouts, now we can give them the Brussels sprouts, right? If they don't want them, then we can get them off the menu. And we don't got to worry about any of that anymore, about the guessing and the losing sleep. Because if you're like me, I'm always wondering, damn, could I have done better? Right? Could I have done better? This thing, and this is something that one of my mentors shared with me, was that no matter how good we do as humans, right, we could possess the miracles, the miracle, magical touch of getting things to convert at 99% and get 99 out of 100 buyers to buy from us. And guess what's going to happen when we go to bed that night? We're going to be thinking, why didn't that one not buy? Why did that? Aren't we crazy? We beat ourselves up over the head. So instead of giving ourselves that, well, what if option, why don't we just eliminate that, create multiple offers in advance, attach that in the right way using the VPC method. And now what we have is a way for you to deliver exactly what they want when they want it. So I'm super excited about that. That's the best way that we can get that going. Oh, and the other thing is when you talk about your offers, I wanted to touch on one more thing, which was that you have to give away the house and farm. People will say, don't give away the house and farm. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. I think you need to. I think you got to know your numbers so well that if you have a lifetime value or even an immediate, let's just go with the immediate value, right? Let's say that you're selling $200 membership packages for a local studio, and that $200 per month package is going to be an immediate 30-day $200 revenue, but a lifetime, let's say you keep members for 6 months, that's $1,200 that you can expect over the lifetime course of that customer, right? So if we are giving away, let's say a t-shirt, we're giving away a free nutrition counseling, we're giving away a free this, we're giving away another piece of value here, another service here, maybe a test into another class here, and we're making it just simply irresistible, and that ends up leading to, let's say, an investment on your end of $55. And then we have an acquisition cost from the ad side of, let's say, $35. Well, that's $90 to acquire that one client, right? Well, $90 with an immediate $200 in return, I mean, that's pretty solid. Plus, if you look at the long game, that's $90 that you invested to be able to generate $1,200 over the lifetime. So lifetime, your return on your ad spend over lifetime is over 10 to 1. I mean, to me, that's pretty solid. Now, other people might go, well, you know what? I don't want to give away that money because I have to still pay for them in my advertisement. And my cost per acquisition needs to, I can't go higher than this. And it's always like, well, if we can reverse engineer your numbers and we know for a fact that you can go higher than that, are you willing to? Because we got to understand that long game, if I was looking at this as hey, can I put in $90 today, right? And then in 6 months from now, pull out $1,200? I would do that every day, right? I would do that every day. I would put in as many $90 as I needed to so that 6 months from now, I could pull out that $1,200. And that's what we're looking at it here. And so we want to make sure that we have enough substance in the offer to make it appealing, right? Because imagine there's those 4 elements inside of every offer. Okay, you have bonuses or premiums, whatever you want to call them, scarcity, right? We have guarantees, and we have the irresistibility, the IIO. Those 4 elements are what make up an offer. We got to create a bunch of these different offers, and then boom, we're on our way. So that's what we want to focus on as well, staying away from just hey, I got to have this thing work. Now, lack of clarity, I think that this is something a lot of us have a problem with. I know I still struggle with this in my business every day when it comes to who we want to market to with what campaign. What are their major problems? What are they really looking for? How are they searching for it? I just think that this is funny on the screen, right? Ambiguity, where it's like lack of clarity in speech, or something like that. And I feel like that's how a lot of us approach the market these days. We are constantly at a position with them saying, well, I do this, right? I help people get results, but or something like that. If you're a photographer, I take pictures for people, or something like that. You're a realtor, I help people find houses, or something like that. And a lot of us follow up, even if it's not with those same words, they follow up with that essence. And what we want to do is avoid that. We want to be as clear as possible. And there's a couple of things that we can do. Number one is we can stop marketing to everybody. We could see that the moment that we do that, I get lost in it sometimes too. I do this for a living, right? We have other client accounts that we manage, and still sometimes you get lost in the ambiguity because it's so normal. The noise is just loud, and you're just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on this crowd versus this person. And that is a big difference. When you go from focusing on the crowd to focusing on the person in the crowd, your job becomes so much easier. It's a conversation now where if you and I were in front of each other and we were just talking and having a good time out for a beer or a cup of coffee or whatever it is, it's now using that same sense that you would to build a friendship or a relationship the same way that you would here, only with that specific person. So that lack of clarity, it almost breeds resentment because they're like, who's this dude think he is? He doesn't even know me. Versus, oh, this dude absolutely knows who I am. Let me listen in to hear what he has to say, right? There's that difference there. So I'm sure that we've heard it before. Hopefully I maybe sparked a little bit of a different perception, right, of the lack of clarity, because I know that most of us think clarity is missions and goals and stuff like that. Yes, that is true. But a lot of the time, it's just the language that we use that is going to help us get help us better communicate with our market. Now, one thing you could practice, which I do want to give you, of course, the whole reason for today is to give you these actionable steps. Hopefully you guys have been writing down some notes on what you can do with the first three mistakes. This fourth one now, like we said, stop marketing to everybody. Now, the second thing that we can do is you have to know your message that fits best. And what we can do is you can go through audience insights, or you can actually go through what a website is called. What is it? Answer the Public? Yes. Not answerthepublic.com. And if you go to answerthepublic.com, you could type in a question, and that question will now auto-populate with a bunch of what your market is asking. Imagine walking into the conversation that your market is already asking themselves, right? They already have these questions that they're asking themselves. What if you could walk right into that conversation and start answering these questions that they have? Go to answerthepublic.com, type in a phrase or a question, in regards to your company, your business, your service, and you're going to see that it takes you to a slew of these, what, where, when, why questions that people are asking. It's going to be great for you to use as a resource. Now, the other thing is also you got to, where are we at? The core values. If you haven't written out your core values, you're slipping. I've talked about this before, man. It took a while for us to get clear on who we were. It did. And it will take a while for you if you're brand new. If you're into the business for a while now, then you've got to make sure that you know what you stand for, right? Integrity, right? What is it? Is it honesty? Is it hard work? What is it that your company stands for? What is it that you stand for as a person? It should really align, and you can have as many as you want. It could be two things. It could be 5 things. It could be 15 things, right? We have 10 company core values that tie directly into how we live our life personally. And those 10 company core values, they have to be lived upon every single day, right? High accountability is definitely on there. So when people come in on as employees, we go through those core values with them and say, hey, this is what we stand for. Can you measure up, right? And we start to now gauge how they respond to certain questions. How does it tie into those core values? Which is going to help you surround yourself around the people that you want to surround yourself with, so you can build a solid infrastructure, and for a fact that your team is going to perform because they understand they have to perform because that's the type of company that they work for. So it makes it so easy to get clear on what expectations need to be. And once that happens with the core values, guess what happens automatically? When you know what you stand for, you know what you stand against. Boom, right? So now we know exactly when somebody does something or says something, it's like, ugh, I don't want to even deal with that anymore because it's not a part of the core value. So we don't even want to deal with that. Let's just move this way, right? Let's just separate ourselves and move this way. Really cool to know. Now, mistake number 5, okay, is no clear direct call to action. Okay, let's go back over your pages right now. And I know that there's going to be at least 1 or 2 of these sales pages that have either too much or not enough. And your market, they don't have a crystal ball. As much as we would love them to have a crystal ball, they don't have one. So we've got to make it a clear, direct call to action. We can't have any of the mistakes like this here, which is the number 5 mistake on why marketing careers just crumble, because there's no clear call to action for that lander. Imagine getting hundreds of viewers to a landing page and then them being like, what the hell do I do? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't figure out what I need to do next. It's so confusing. If that's the case, they are not going to like it, right? So you have to make sure the way that we solve that, right, is becoming clear on what type of experience you want them to have. Do we want them to feel like there's some comedic side to you? Do we want it to feel funny? Do you want it to feel classy? Do we want it to feel like they have to jump through a bunch of hoops, right? You want to pre-qualify them and do all these things. Do you want to make it easy for them? Do you want to lead them to another training? Do you want to lead them to a sales page or do an offer? So there's all these different things that we've got to come clear on. And once we understand the experience, you can then know exactly how to craft up that call to action because you know what the next step is. So it's all about really reverse engineering things, something that you probably hear me say a lot of, knowing exactly what you're going to end with so that you know exactly where to begin, because that's where you're going to begin is with the end. So something cool to think about there. And then the other thing is having too many calls to actions. We know that if you give them too many options, that they're going to be confused. An example of that would be where I'm sure you've seen on a lot of landing pages or sales pages where it says, hey, buy my stuff, follow me on Facebook, friend me on Instagram, sign up to my newsletter, buy my stuff. If you haven't bought yet here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? You have all these different calls to actions. They're not going to know what to do. And you want to make sure that on these landing pages and on these sales pages that you're selling one thing. And that is the opt-in if it's a landing page and it's the actual product or the offer on the sales page. That's what we're looking for, right? That's what we want to focus on. Each step of the funnel has its own purpose, right? And so if you have a clear call to action, they're going to know what to do next. So don't make them use their crystal ball. Now, another thing, mistake number 6 is being so vanilla. Look at that. I mean, the ice cream looks good though, doesn't it? I do like a nice bowl of just raw, original vanilla ice cream. But we know that when you're looking at something like that versus, let's say, an ice cream sundae with brownie bites and sprinkles, toppings, and all that goodness with the cherry and the whipped cream, now you're like, wow, that's actually looking a little bit more tasty. And that's what we want to do. We want to become the ice cream sundae. We don't want to be the bland bowl of vanilla with nothing else to add. And a lot of the times what we do as business owners is we think that, oh, well, I've got to wear my suit and tie to work every day online, and which is no problem with that. I love the suit and tie. I'm the classy dude. But when you think about what you're actually doing, it's all about being you. So if you have the ability to share a story, to crack a joke, to smile, and to say something that's not so proper, then do it if that's who you are, right? Because we got to remain true to ourselves if we want to bring on people who are going to be good clients and customers. So when we look at the ad copy, that's another thing too, is look at your ad copy. I've seen it happen so many times where they start talking like robots, right? They have so many opportunities to make a sale and they just go into corporate mode or formal mode. And it turns people off. What we've seen is studies have shown that when you use words spelled out the way that it sounds, the way that you would say them in a natural conversation, that when somebody reads that ad copy or those posts, that it actually makes more sense to them in their own mind than if it were spelled proper. And you're also going to see that usually people who correct other people's grammar on ads and other things like that, they're not good marketers. They might be great at copywriting, right? They might be great at English, right? Teaching, language arts or something like, or skills or something like that, but they're not going to be good marketers. I've seen that so many times. People who focus most on grammar, they're not good marketers. And we want to make sure that we're paying attention to what trends are. We want to make sure we're paying attention to what people do, the psychology of our viewers and our buyers. And we know that we get better readership and viewership of whatever we're doing when we could get a conversation going the way that we would get if we were on the phone with them. And that's what we got to get clear with. A lot of folks have a hard time with this, finding their voice. I know that I did. And when I did, it clicked. It felt so good from going from this robotic corporate formal dude who was not me to going and having some fun and being able to share with our clients and our prospects that we can get results and we can have a good time. We can be classy and professional, but also fun and enlightening, right? We can have a good time. So think about that. And don't get too personal in your ad copy or your ads. Mistake number 7, we're almost done, okay? More than halfway done now, is disconnected images. What we want to do when you're dealing with services and physical or digital products, right? So you have services and products. There's 2 different types of things that we want to do here. Best thing that we could do for the product side is these images be some type of demonstrative, right? We've got to figure out how to get more demonstrative images. If it's not a product of yours, meaning you're an affiliate of some sort, or you're a JV or doing something like that, then we've got to figure out a way to get a demonstration of the product being used. That's the number one seller. What we've seen across the board is demonstration. That's why webinars still work so well. It's because you're demonstrating that you can help people. And so we got to make sure that we have those going as well. Now, when you're not relating to the ultimate feeling the product or service is trying to sell or avoid, when you're not relating to that feeling, you're not doing your job. So we have to make sure that if you're trying to sell, let's say you're selling fitness, right? And you're like, hey, look, get joy and feel right by getting fit, very, very corny tagline. But if that's what it was, guess what would happen, right? If you put an image of a very lazy, depressed woman who was overweight, you wouldn't get the results that you would if you had a very joyous, fit woman, which was something that you were selling. You were selling that emotion. So you were trying to get them to avoid being sluggish, overweight. And if you put a picture of someone who's sluggish and overweight, trying to say, hey, don't you want to avoid this? But that's the picture that they see. It's not going to work, right? You want to go towards aspiration, right? You want to go towards aspiration because it's a disconnection, right? Our mind's thinking, well, I want that. Yeah, but why am I looking at this person who's depressed? Makes me depressed, man. Whatever. I just want to move on with my life. Like, I wish I never saw this guy. You know what I mean? So we don't want to do that. Disconnected images is something that can really hurt or, help a campaign. The other thing is high quality images. When you're thinking about where do I get my images from, go to Shutterstock, go to, Pexels.com, go to Gratisography. Those are the 3 that I pretty much rotate through to find the images that I use in our ads and slides and stuff like that. And it's royalty free. You don't have to worry about purchase. So Shutterstock, I think you have to purchase them, but the other 2 are absolutely free. But you can go ahead and get a good deal. I mean, if you need to, but you can purchase them and start to use these. They're really good. The high def images are going to get you more clicks. It's just the way that I wish it wasn't the case. Like, I wish that when people met somebody for the first time that they had longer than 3 seconds to make a first impression, but they don't. Same thing happens online. You have about 3 seconds and they're going to see this ad as basically your outfit. So when you see somebody for the first time, imagine you walking up to them and them being in some scrubs, like, they look a little homeless, maybe they don't look too well. They got some dirt on their face and stuff like that. You're going to make a judgment. Now that could be a millionaire underneath though. That he could have just got done with BMXing, right? But we don't know that. And same thing that they don't know about you, but they're going to make that judgment. They're going to pass that judgment just the same. And so for us to avoid being looked at like we're not professional enough or we're not going to be able to get the job done, we got to make sure that we got high quality images. The other thing is that we got to make sure we get creative. Now, tying back into the previous step with the no personality, imagine being able to give your personality through a GIF or through a cinematograph. If you don't know what a cinematograph is, it's just a moving image, right? Similar to a GIF, but it's where a piece of the image isn't really moving, right? So you have everything moving except for like in a candle, right? Everything would be still except for the flame. The flame would be moving, right? Those things work very well. GIFs work very well. And when you're thinking about, well, if I can't make a video myself, what am I going to do? There's companies called Promo, like promos. It's like Slidely, promo.slidely, I think is what the website is. I mean, you can create commercial style videos that way. You can go to Fiverr, have them do it. Go to Upwork, have them do it, right? A lot of different ways that you can have these things. You could use the cinemagraphs and the GIFs. So don't think that the videos always have to be done by you. We want to see videos that are going to be entertaining, educational, informative, and demonstrational. Those four things, once we hit on that topic of, okay, this is where those videos are at, then we're good, right? Or those images, that's what we want. Now, let's go into, okay, mistake number 8, not having enough offers. Now, this is my favorite topic, okay? The reason why is because it gives us an opportunity to be creative. I love stepping into my best self, sitting back and going, okay, well, what is it that I could deliver that could bring more value to my market, that could be something that they've never seen or heard before, and that they would absolutely love, something that would be irresistible, something that they have not yet seen. And when you start to dive deep into this and you start to understand their needs and their wants, and this is why we provide you with that new hook and offer, okay? We have a new hook and offer worksheet that we've created for you guys inside the academy. And the reason why is because we know that this stuff is hard. This creating offers is not easy until you have a template. Now it is, right? We've made it easy for you guys. So now you just follow the template and you have your offers made, and it follows a nice process. You know exactly how to create it, you know what to do, and it makes a lot of sense. So make sure you guys check out that new hook and offer worksheets, hook and offer website or exercise. And so not having enough offers is something that's going to hurt you. Now, you want to look at competitors for ideas, and you also want to test behind lead magnets to cold traffic. So one of the best ways for you to see what works is to test behind lead magnets. We did something terrible. And this was just recently. What we did is we invested, I think it was like the first 500 of our campaign. We were running a couple $1,000s through a campaign. And the first 500 of it, I realized that I did not actually have any test offers. Can you imagine that? I didn't actually test any offers. I had one stinking offer, and it was not performing. And I just kept thinking that it would. That, oh, well, it's going to perform maybe soon, this day, today. And it went on until I invested a full 500. I think it was right around 5 days, and nothing had came through. And so I was like, okay, well, this doesn't seem right. And then I started to dig into it, and I was like, well, God damn it. Yes, I have messed up again, and I did not have multiple offers behind these to test. So in essence, what people were seeing was after they would opt in for whatever giveaway, okay, there was 2 or 3 different lead magnets that we were using. Once they opted in for that lead magnet, they were getting taken to one offer. That was it. And nobody was buying that damn offer. And what we do, we just kept pushing them to it and pushing them to it and pushing them to it versus sitting back and going, oh, we got to give them options. Now that we switched out that and we added now 3 additional offers, now we have takers on, guess what? Every single offer, right? So now we know, okay, well, we're going to measure it for a little bit longer now. But now we know that, hey, look, this offer A is working well. Offer B is working a little bit better. Offer C is working the best. And offer D could be just killed off, right? And now we could start promoting those offers to new pieces of our market, to new segments of our market, meaning the warm audiences. And have they seen an order form? Have they visited specific pages? So the more offers that you have, you can now appeal to specific pieces of your market. So if I know that somebody visited 3 of my order forms and they've not purchased yet, I'm not going to send them to the same order forms, right? I'm going to either have it packaged different, or I'm going to just create a new offer altogether and introduce him to that one because I know he's ready to buy. He just needs to find the right reason or the right time. So there's a couple of things that you could do once you have that information, but you can't do it unless you've got the offers. So don't be shy to create these and let them sit on the shelf for a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying I don't encourage that, but if you happen to let them sit on the shelf, at least be prepared for launching them. And of course, within the VPC method, we go through that with you so that you know exactly how and when to put your offers in there and when to switch them out. The other thing is in your follow-up, you can use your offers as well to test without running any advertising dollars because you already paid for the lead. And then the last thing I want to leave you with on this slide is just that your offers are in direct relation to the amount of revenue that you make. So think of it like this. The tree that is right here, imagine that being your business. All those little buckets of cash, those little apples of cash, those are your offers. Plain and simple, right? The more that you have, the more money you're going to make. That's it. We just got to get more apples on your tree. That's all. The more apples that we have out there, the more people will be, the more you'll find out that people are like, oh, wow, okay, I have so many options. This is great. I actually want that. Now, options, again, not to contradict or to contradict what I was talking about before, when you have multiple offers created separately and they're being shown individually, it's not confusing to your market. But when you have 8 offers on one sales page with 8 different calls to actions on that one sales page, that is confusing. So we don't want to do that. So I wanted to clear that up before I went on to mistake number 9, which is lack of brevity. Now, if we have, let's say, 3 seconds to get somebody's attention to hold on to it, then what do you think we should be doing if we can hold on to it for 30 seconds? We should be able to deliver value. We should be able to deliver what we need to do. Intent, purpose, right? Be on point, be able to share exactly what it is. So there's some things that you could do today, some practical steps that you could start to take to help you increase your brevity, which number 1 is going to be practice your 30-second elevator pitch. If I were to ask you right now, what is it that you do? What do you do? What could you say? Would you stutter? Would you take longer than 30 seconds? Would it take you to, show me a demo video for me to understand what is it that you do? Can you explain what you do in less than 30 seconds? And you're going to get, a lot of the time, more than 30 seconds to get your explanation. But if you happen to be in a position where you have to share and be brief, which is typically you want to be brief even if they're not requiring it, you're going to want to know how to do this. And a quick breakdown of how you can create your elevator pitch, if you've never done that before, is a did you know what I do, and then so you can. So if we were to put it together, something like, hey, if we were in a conversation, you were like, hey, Brandon, what is it that you do? And I said, hey, did you know that 4 out of 5 companies close their doors in the first 5 years of being in business? And you would say most likely, no, man, I didn't know that, or yes, I did, or whatever it is. And you'd say, well, what I do is I help install our VPC method into company owners' businesses so that they can future-proof their business and not become another statistic. And they're going to say, oh, well, that's awesome. Tell me more about the VPC method. I've opened the door now for some curiosity. So did you know what I do? And so you can. And that now gave them, and I said that in like 7 seconds or something. So it's very brief. It's very concise. And you can now play with that. So think about it. Did you know what I do? And so you can. And then the other thing is do the 140 character test. This 140 character test is fun. Put together an explanation of benefits. Okay. And don't go over 140 characters for each benefit. So each benefit that your product offers or your service provides, don't go over 140 characters and make each and every one of those benefits 140 characters or less. This is going to get you to think in a whole nother level. Okay. Now, Twitter might not be your cup of tea. They've actually upped their 140 characters, right, to like something more than that now. But this is going to help you with your creativity on a whole nother level. So it's and your brevity. I mean, 140 character test. So think about that, okay? Your test is to write down all the benefits to your product or service in 140 characters or less. You've got to do this, okay? And then the next thing is you got to be able to share it to a 5th grader. Not like you don't have to like walk into elementary school and share it to a 5th grader. That's weird. We don't want to do that. What we do want to do is have the ability. We want to be able to share it to a 5th grader. You got to be able to explain what you do so brief, right? And so clear, but yet still in a simple way that a 5th grader can understand it. And that's how you want to encompass your stuff. You don't want to get technical, no matter how technical your stuff is or advanced your stuff is, which if you're like most business owners like me, you know that your stuff can get technical, right? I can go into days about how I build out advanced automated sales and marketing machines and how all this stuff is like that. But when you're first talking with somebody and their first introduction to you is, hey, how's it going? What do you do? That's the last thing that they're asking you, right? They don't really want that. And we want to do the same thing for the market, do the same thing for people when you're meeting them in networking events. So this is going to be very helpful for you to keep brief. Now, when we get to number 10, we're looking at the fear of selling. Now, the fear of selling is something that will kill you, your business, and everything. And I'm talking, if you want to look as dapper as this guy on the screen and you want to have that nice little hanky popped out, sitting down with your computer, ready to close some damn deals, then you've got to be able to, number 1, understand what selling is. And that's really you being able to transfer something, right? Some goods, a transference of goods in exchange for compensation of those goods. That is it. That's all selling is. And so ever since you were a little dude or a little girl, you've been selling. We all know this, right? You've been selling to your mom. Hey, look, mom, I need to go out this weekend. You sold to her, right? You sold her on the fact you need to go out this weekend. You sold your wife or your husband on the fact that you need to be with them or that they need to be with you, right? You sold your job, your employee at one point on that you were the best person for that job. You've been selling your entire life. So the fear of selling, once we understand what it is, it should remove a lot of that pressure. Then you want to start role playing. If you could start role playing over and over again, okay, with people who you can trust that will give you positive feedback and play the role, right, not be a D-bag about it, then you will move so much faster than anybody else around you in sales. And this will allow you now to predictably control your income. The moment you become great at sales, you control your income. That's all it comes down to. The more meetings that you get, the more often you sell. The better you're off at sales, the more money that you make. So we've got to make sure that you can remove that fear of selling from you. If you have a fear of selling, oh my God, there's nothing worse. There's no other stronghold or kink in a business other than the fear of selling. I've seen clients of mine where I'll have franchises that I work with, okay? And these franchises will be spread across the nation, okay? From, let's say, which we'll say right now, from Minnesota to Florida. And what happens is that they have these trainers that some are afraid of selling. And the ones that have and are afraid of selling, those are the ones that do the worst with revenue. We could have the same campaigns, the same amount of results. We could have the same amount of people coming through the front door. And what we see is that less people convert. And the reason why is because of the trainers, right? And because the trainers have to sell. And a lot of the people these days who get hired for a sales job, they don't even believe in what they do. They're just like, I don't even know what selling is. They have no sales experience. The training is only provided by the company, so they don't go into anything else. It's just crazy to me. So we got to make sure that you're role playing on a daily basis with people who can be honest with you. That's going to move you through the roof with results. And then have a qualification process. You want to stop selling? Have a qualification process. This is how cool this is. When you follow the qualification process inside of the academy, guess what happens? It removes everything from you having to sell. Because my whole close, when I meet with clients who are signing on for, $15, $18, $30, $40, $50,000 a year, I'm meeting with them. And at the end of these meetings, I'm literally asking them one question. The question is, hey, would you like some help putting all this together? Right? I set up a strategy session or a discovery call or a kickoff session, whatever you want to call it. And then at the end of my demonstration, I say, hey, would you like some putting all this together? That's it. And that's why if you do the qualification process right, and you know that this person understands your pricing, they understand they're ready to make a decision, they are the decision maker, they know all these things about your company already, they've been vetted, then your selling isn't really selling. It's just you asking, hey, would you like some help putting this together? And then they go, yes or no, let's go through the prices. And it becomes very simple now. So if you've been thinking about, well, my resistance is selling, don't let that fear guide you anymore, because it's really not going to do you any good, number one. But number two, follow the process inside the academy. I promise you won't feel like you're selling. Now, mistake number 11, the final mistake. We've done it, guys. Congratulate yourself. I'm excited. Okay, number 11 is not knowing buyer psychology. And I saved this one for last for a reason. Number one, because this is the most important. And I wanted those who stuck around till the end of this training, right? So that you can see that this is the most important. There's nothing more important than understanding buyer psychology. And you don't need to go to a psychology course. You don't need to go and take something up at your local college or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I am sharing, though, is that we got to understand, number one, that buyer psychology 101 is it takes time to build trust. When we go to a mall, we have an opportunity to walk in and walk out without buying a thing. And those retail owners, they don't follow you around with a pixel and go, I've scanned you when you walked into my store. Now I'm going to follow you around with these moving billboards as you shop through the mall, right? They don't do that. They know for a fact that you're going to come in once and you're most likely not going to buy, and you're going to come in a second time, and that's when you probably will buy. But the time between the first and the second time could be months. right? It could feel more familiar with you after the third or fourth time. Maybe you're somebody who comes in 6 or 7 times with a friend, and then on the 8th time of you coming in by yourself, you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy this, right? That's understanding buyer psychology. It's going to take some time to build the trust and for you to become relevant. If you're selling sweaters in the middle of June, probably not too relevant to a lot of people, right? So we got to make sure that we're relevant. We got to make sure that there's trust that needs to take place. And then we also got to make sure that you're implementing a sales process, right? There's an actual process that needs to take place for someone to make a purchase. And a lot of the times as business owners, most of us are not marketers, right? We're entrepreneurs. We're not marketers. We're not advertisers, right? So what we forget about is the sales process. How do I actually want to take this person who does not know me from Adam to a person who's going to purchase from me and give me money on a regular basis? Well, it's definitely not I'm not going to do anything and I'm not going to run any content. I'm not going to show up on social media. I'm not going to have a website. I'm not going to provide any content. I'm just going to run paid advertising and that's it. And if they don't buy immediately, then they're not qualified. That's definitely not the attitude. We have to avoid that plague of thinking at all costs. And what we can do to help avoid that is by implement an actual sales process. And when you show up to the members calls and you have questions and you show up to the pop-up sessions and the Winning Ed Wednesdays, you ask questions inside the group about the sales process that you're currently running, we can help make it better. We saw that by moving actually another piece of content in front of our offer, that we're actually seeing people sign up for more strategy sessions and to sign up more into the academy than ever before. And all we did was added another layer of content. So instead of running from lead magnet to sales page for product or into academy, it was lead magnet to training or lead magnet to session. And then we went to sales. And by adding just that little layer in there, we now have the opportunity to make more sales. So we had to understand that, okay, we knew, the reason why I'm bringing this up is we knew that we had to add a piece of trust into our process. We knew that people were not ready to make a buying decision because they had not yet seen or heard from us as much as we knew they needed to. So what we did is we just built in an extra additional piece of value. That additional piece of value now is bringing in more people deeper into the sales process. Think about that. Pretty cool stuff. So we had to understand the sales process. We had to identify what was wrong with it, where the kink was, and then we had to create an experience that was going to give them the result they wanted and give us the result we wanted, right? We had to think about them first. What could they need and what do they need to make sure that they make that the purchase? The other thing is to give multiple opportunities to learn about you more. Now, this is what we call our branding phase. So phase 1, lead gen. Phase 2, branding. After they become a lead, we've got to bury them. I'm talking just bury them with things that are going to get them to know, like, and trust you. So these are the big idea video, big idea in action video, testimonies, case studies. I'm talking about everything that you need right now to seriously move that trust factor in your business. This is where that comes in. Okay, so we've got to make sure that you're giving them multiple opportunities to get to know, like, and trust you. And that comes through that branding phase with little 60-second videos, 90-second videos, 5-minute videos, all sharing things about little, it could be tips and tricks about what you do, why you do it, the things about you, your company, right? We have a whole training on that inside the academy. And then finally, what we want to do is have the proper expectations. Again, I just want to just make it full circle on this mistake number 11 is, not knowing buyer psychology. I could actually run a slash there and do AKA not having proper expectations, because a lot of us, we get into, and clients too, you got to set these expectations. If you're an agency owner or you're running any kind of, results-based business, then you've got to make sure you set the right expectations right out the gate. And a lot of business owners, not being marketers, they hear and see a lot of stuff online. They think things are a certain way, right? Like we watch Hollywood stuff and we think, oh, a doctor could, a pregnant lady water breaks and it just like showers out like a fountain, right? Like that's not how it is in real life. You know what I mean? But we've seen movies so many times that that's what we think it is. And so same thing's happening with your buyers out here and your clients. Same thing's happening with your clients. They're sitting there saying, well, I'm going to get leads tomorrow and 100% of those leads are going to convert. And you're like, well, I don't know about all that. Like, that's not going to happen. But that's what they think. So we have to set proper expectations. Same thing for you and your own company. We got to reverse engineer stuff. Like I said, I had expectations for that one campaign where I dropped like 5 or 6 grand into in about 30 days. And it ended up being a complete failure. I got zero back. Right. And I'm sharing that because it's a disappointment, but I knew that there was something I needed to do and I didn't do it. I didn't pay attention to the right things. I was married to an offer. Right. And I should have understood buyer psychology. They were telling me it wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that. They didn't like it. Give it back. I don't want the damn Brussels sprouts, man, even if you wrap them in bacon. So you can see how all that ties together. So make sure you have the proper expectations. So I know that we covered a lot today. Hopefully you guys took a lot of notes. I know that I'm excited about moving forward with everything. Perfect timing too, now that I see where we're at. So I'll stay on for just a couple more seconds. Make sure you guys got any questions. And then if you want to come out on the next, next Wednesday is going to be the Winning Ad Wednesday. And I'd love to sit down with you and go over your ads and help you 3, 5, 10x your return. Okay. And if you're not getting any return, let me help you get at least some back, okay? Because I promise you that there's some things that we're seeing with Facebook that completely turn your advertising around. If you're not on Facebook right now and you're focusing more on, let's say, Google or Instagram, we also have our hands in there as well, or YouTube, to be able to get you seen everywhere. So I appreciate you for showing up today, and I look forward to hearing more about your results over the next week. Show up next Wednesday for Winning Ad Wednesday, and in the meantime, I'll see you guys in the group. Take care.